hours. So I'm like,
We're live.
drive before 15 hours straight anymore.
Let me,
Which way are you going?
I'm gonna go down 81. Yeah, from me, we'll head west to Harris. It's the most direct route for sure. And Selena has done it, I guess. You might just go to 81 the whole way.
Last year. Looks like they finishing.
Yeah. You want to stop saying?
I think we're good.
I mean,
Playing music.
We're good. Oh, it's delayed. Kind of. The picture is.
Okay, while I wash my hair.
Well, originally the truck was 5, but we just kind of lost control of the trailer and she wound up spinning around and trailing the wall.
Was it loaded?
Krista, what's your phone number?
But they went wide.
The trailer actually was, Josh, you didn't say the trailer, the trailer's fun, but it was the truck that actually, I just reading things about how this is really kept. It was her truck, partially. The truck actually.
Is he at home or is he at work?
Besides the trailer, just the driver.
I want to know if you've gone in yet.
So does somebody come back the horses? How did you get it all hooked up?
So I was following my this year, Jenny did Pony Club International, so she was not riding that year, but we had to go to anyway, so I did.
Okay, Dana says that she is watching the live stream
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
in Canada.
Are we ready to roll?
Yes.
But what you do learn if you've ever had to.
Dana says that she is watching the live
We
stream.
had some people who got 4 horse people, about 81 with well travel. And that's when you actually people that stop.
My
you know,
computer, and I hope it still
Okay.
picks up the.
Are we ready to get started?
The horse for them.
Woo.
Sorry.
Okay. No. So thanks for coming. Thanks for live streaming. And we are switching to the IMGA rulebook this year, which has a lot of advantages, namely that they have a whole committee that works the rulebook for us instead of us reinventing the wheel. And it's the rulebook that the rest of the world uses, so that makes sense. So when our riders are riding at USMGA or any IMGA events in Australia or the UK or wherever, they already know the rules and our coaches know the rules, etc. So anyway, we have the addendum, which keeps all of our races, it keeps all of our divisions, and it makes a few exceptions that fit our needs. So let's go over these changes real quick. Did everybody get a copy of the changes thing? I didn't bring extras. So the rulebook and the addendum are meant to go together, and they're in the exact same order. So if you open the rulebook at page 4, which is the first page of rules, and you open the addendum at page 2, which is the first page of rules, you've got general rules, and then it starts down with the rule numbers in the same order and all that good stuff. So it should be pretty easy to follow. The first rule change for us is under ponies, which is on page 5 in the IMGA rulebook. And it's just down under competition formats, which we kept our Gambler's Choice, Family Pairs, Big and Little Guns, and our Rule About Organizers adapting. So then we have ponies. The IMGA rulebook calls for ponies to be under 15 hands. We do have a few riders that ride ponies that are over 15 hands. We don't want to see anybody not be able to ride. It's a safety factor, and we feel like all of those riders are safe. So we are not applying that to MGAA competitions. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped. I didn't read. I just skipped. Yeah, so okay, this one says that GR 1.1 that ponies can only compete in up to 24 races a day, which essentially means one division. That includes sitting out as a 5th pony, so one division per pony per competition. That's kind of a pony welfare kind of thing. So sorry about that, guys. Skipping down to dress, we are doing helmet checks this year, and it's not in the rule book because it's a policy, it's not a rule. So if your helmet is SEI, there's a whole list of them in the IMGA rule book about different certifications. And the head checkers, helmet checkers, Kim Stokes is in charge of that. And she has a printout that MGAGB was kind enough to lend us that has a picture of all the different certifications. But here's my helmet, and it's SEI, and the one with a little heart in it, and the sticker is right there. So that's that new policy that came out in the fall. Okay, moving on. Anyone performing the job of postman in Pony Express or salesman in tack shop need to wear a helmet with a chin strap fastened. Typically that's your 5th rider, but because of our formatting, we've often had ring crews filling that position. It's fine if ring crew still does it, but ring crew needs to have a helmet on with the chin strap fastened.
So I have a question about that. Does that mean that now people who are under 18 can be the postman? No. Okay.
No.
Because didn't we allow them before if they had a helmet on?
If it's the 5th rider, yes.
If it's the 5th rider. No, we're good.
I just remember before, if they were under 18, they had to wear
Yes.
a helmet, and other people were like, you know, if you're an adult,
Right.
too bad.
Yeah, proper footwear is required in the ring as well. Yeah.
That's all that was required.
If you're gonna let them do it if they're a rider, why
Then-
wouldn't you let them do it if
right.
they're?
Well, because they're working with their own team, so if they're 12, they're generally on a team of other 12-year-olds. The 12-year-old that's tiny might not be comfortable
With
taking
the masters.
with the Masters A level.
Do we have it's in the
No, I
rule
think the
book?
question is,
No.
if you're okay
Yeah,
with
if
with someone on the team doing it that's under 18, why can't just anyone under 18 do
Well,
it?
again, it was
Just
the
to be
team.
comfortable.
Like if your kids are doing it for their own team, they're tiny little kids, which is different than them doing it in the Masters A. I think it's more of a referee decision, personally. I personally don't want little tiny kids doing that for Masters A level where the people are jumping out of the way of the ponies coming. I don't want to see a little kid get screamed.
We could note it as something that the rule book committee should address.
Yeah.
I was just
Tighten
thinking
up the language.
consistency.
Yeah, consistency
If
is
you're
good.
gonna allow under 18 in their own race, then
Yeah. I mean, as a referee, I would say no to little kids in Masters A. I don't want to see them run over, but
How about if you're riding that division, you can be the post person or the tack shop person?
yeah, let's.
So if
throw it
you're
back
an
to the rule book
intermediate,
committee,
Your best.
That's not.
because they're not going to be
Too loose,
working.
That's too loose.
Yeah.
It just leaves too much interpretation.
We'll throw it back to the rule book committee and let them work on it. But
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Because I would also say that I think you could be knocked over just as easily in intermediate as in masters, no matter what.
Yeah.
Not much of a difference. But so we'll tighten that.
Yeah, we'll work
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on, jewelry. The IMGA rule book requires no jewelry. If jewelry is on, it must be taped over. And that includes wedding bands. Sorry guys, wedding bands, studs.
Medical ID bracelets.
Yeah, the ride safe bracelets, all gotta come off. Any questions there?
So yeah, the whole taped over thing makes me crazy. First you say no jewelry, and then
It's
you
in the
say-
rule book.
Well, I think the idea is it says what it does say is if it's something you cannot remove. And
Like a piercing.
while I mean, I think you could take. I was more thinking people who 100% cannot get their wedding bands off. So to me,
So I would agree with you with that. I mean,
Yeah.
some things that you physically can't remove, fine, but then the changes sheet is written differently than the rule
Oh, okay.
actually said, so it makes it sound like, well, we're gonna interpret it as, which means everybody else can say, well, I can tape it on, and I'm like,
As a
All jewelry must be
referee-
removed during the competition. Jewelry which cannot be removed must be securely taped over. That's the
Yeah, she was just saying the changes sheet was a little different. So I would say,
Oh,
as a referee, to me, I would only say the only thing that you absolutely cannot remove is your wedding. If you can't get that
Physically get
wedding
it off.
band off,
but
if you have a
ears, nose,
piercing,
yeah, all of them.
those have to come off if I'm judging your division. And tape down does not mean you have a little piece over it. It means the edges are taped to your finger so that it can't get caught.
What about tongue?
You better take your tongue ring out.
Just a question.
That said, I don't believe we're gonna go around making everyone stick out their tongues, but if there's
It'd be
somebody,
pretty obvious.
How about belly
It
buttons?
becomes pretty.
Yeah.
belly buttons too, I don't think, I mean, that's probably the stupidest piercing you could ever play games in. Cause
Yeah, because, yeah.
it's gonna get caught, and I would say we're probably not gonna be asking people to show, but if like, you know, somebody has one of those piercings, I would, as a referee, approach them and be like, hey, did you take out your belly button ring? Or did you, I mean, I don't think I'd even let somebody tape that down. I'm just gonna make everybody mad. So,
Well, I'm right there with you.
yeah. We did talk about the jewelry a lot on the bog and ended up deciding it just all needs to come off.
Yeah, we considered an allowance for wedding bands, and
Yeah,
Nobody wears diamonds, do they?
you got to take them off.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Leave
yeah.
them at home
Yeah, I was
before you
gonna
even
say.
come.
Yeah. So we did put a lot of work into this.
So
one.
yeah, I think with the tape down, that would be like, if it does not come off, like if I can't pull it off your face or whatever, then you can tape it down. And the only time I see that happening is somebody with a wedding band that just like is like on there.
Yeah.
And
Especially in the summertime.
yeah, they're harder to get off in the summer. I've like put my hand in buckets of ice water and then, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the jewelry rule. Number 5 on the changes sheet. The ring crew can't wear flip flops and such anymore. It requires closed shoe footwear.
Oh, so I also had a question about that.
Okay.
Sorry, Krista.
No
So
problem.
what are we gonna do if somebody does come in flip flops? Did the referee
fix
just say go fix it?
Yes.
And if you don't fix it, then you're
So then
The
you're.
team.
Oh, you're saying like if it's your team.
yeah,
Your team gets penalized.
your team gets
Yeah.
penalized. Okay.
I mean, I think by the time nationals rolls around, everybody should be aware of the rules. They've been out, the changes sheet's been out.
Can I?
We're not even asking you to like
Crocs?
flip through it.
Oh, that was my question. Crocs.
I mean, technically Crocs are closed.
Technically, no, they're not.
Secure,
Laboratory, they are not closed
Yeah.
toes. They are not.
unless
okay.
they're the closed toes, like the ones
That are
that have no holes.
Right.
Okay.
So,
I kind of felt like they don't really qualify.
No? Okay.
they don't.
Ugh.
Sorry.
If you get
I love
stepped
them.
on-
I love them too.
Okay, so ugly Crocs are a
Protected
no.
enough. I've been stepped
What
on.
I wear
nice
Crocs.
Crocs are.
Okay, so moving on, we have hat bands. Again, the rule book requires no white covers, which we've been pretty much requiring in the East anyway. Like Pony Club people, and I know in the Midwest, they generally wear sometimes wear the white helmet covers instead of the band. And it also allows you to wear a contrasting color band, not just white.
So I would like to recommend to anybody that's gonna referee, make sure your A-line actually sees all the bands before the start of every heat. Because if you're gonna have that, it will confuse unless you make yourselves aware of it,
Yeah.
so.
And just like all these changes are just going to take a little getting used to. And then if your team comes in with a hat band that's not contrasting enough, that's kind of on you. So make it contrasting.
You know, all the ones that we've given out as prizes, everybody should have a white one.
Exactly.
And they
Exactly.
would have to personally make one.
Well, and we have hat bands for sale that are white
Oh.
with the logos.
Yeah,
So
that's what I mean.
go in and buy
So-
one real quick.
They're really easy to make.
Yeah,
Well, I guess the idea is like if you have a team wearing
like a white
forbid, like
cover.
white helmet covers, then they could have like a
Oh,
black
yeah.
band.
Had that problem with.
Or
Yeah.
neon.
Had a white stripe around.
Oh
it.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
It is a real pain, so.
Well, it's just like when they have the little bands around their helmet.
Yeah.
You know, I don't wear that like that in a competition because I don't want my team to get not called correctly. Okay, so next one, it's just a reminder that once the race is started, once the flag is dropped, the helmet cover band, whoever it's on, it stays on them. You can't change the band mid-race.
Yeah, I've
You
seen that
can't
happen.
try to correct, like,
Yeah. So we're on to page 2 of the changes. We're up to bad or unsportsmanlike behavior. I think we should all be really aware of this, but I just wanted to reiterate that in the fall, the board gave a final no more infractions, zero tolerance warning that bad behavior, unsportsmanlike behavior will not be tolerated at all. Flat out, no bad sportsmanship, no yelling at people in the ring, end of story. So I think everybody should pretty much understand that one. Any questions?
Drinking alcohol is only for competitors, correct?
If you're under 21 and you're at a competition, you can't drink.
No, I understand. If I'm standing on the rail watching a race go by and I have a beer in my hand,
Perhaps it can go in a koozie.
I think it's fine if you're not a rider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you're not in the arena like the
Yeah.
curtain crew.
right?
Oh
Yeah, if you're judging, it would be great if you didn't drink.
Or if you're a rowdy drunk. Exactly.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having a beer on the sidelines, but over 21 being the key thing there.
Absolutely.
Not riding drunk, which hasn't
Right,
really,
better that way.
isn't a big issue for us, luckily. You know, I'm not gonna say it's never happened, but it's not a big
The way it is
problem.
worded, it sounds like
That's
there better
only
not
in
be any
Fox
alcohol
where
on
they
premises.
Many of the venues do stay that, although they've never.
That is true, too.
Yeah.
Correct about that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, but nighttime.
Drive into the Grange and do a loop, and he's been there on weekends and has come through.
Yeah.
So,
They don't seem to enforce it, but
Okay.
honestly,
Technically.
they do all
We
pretty
have
much
to
say
keep
it. I
it in
think.
mind.
Yeah, and you're
To keep our thought together.
Okay, good. Moving on, divisions. We kept all of our divisions, novice, intermediate, masters, fossils. They're in the addendum. Listed very clearly. The only thing we really did with any of the division titles is we cut down some of the wording that was repetitive. And that was about it. Fossils, the change there is we did add 21 years of age as of January 1st of that year. So if you're not 21 right now, as of January 1st this year, you cannot ride in fossils this year. And that just cleared that up. So,
I think also one thing to note, I don't know if it's in the changes, is that we did drop a lot of the divisions that somehow like accumulated in the rulebook that we don't usually use. And if they are used, they're just like at little fun competitions, like the family division or like,
beginner, novice.
yeah, beginner, novice. We like really pared everything down to be much simpler.
Yeah.
Yeah, what they do like at summer system.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do whatever
Little
you
fun
want.
things.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the clause in here somewhere that says, you know, officials can, or organizers can adjust divisions, blah, 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 to suit their needs. So, yeah. Maybe we should touch back real quick, just to be clear. We did not change anything in saddlery. We copied it over, and there was just a few words deleted so that they weren't repetitious. You know, you can still use your hackamores, you can still use your Kimberwicks, your Pelhams, all your bits. Nothing's changed there. So just wanted to make that clear. And that takes us all the way through the general rules. Everybody good on the general rules section? Questions? Just making sure. Dana, no medical alert bans. If there, we have a question from Canada, medical alert bracelets. No medical alert bracelets. If it's a major thing, write it on your arm.
Oh, yeah. I forgot we talked about that.
I checked in with MGAA to see what they do with that, and no medical alert bracelets, no ride safe bracelets, and let's see. Sissy, you'll be here in 5 minutes.
It's just needed.
Yeah.
And my hair looks fabulous, apparently. Thanks, Leah. Okay, so see if you can't embarrass yourself. Okay, so moving on to competition rules. It starts off with the arena markings in the IMGA rulebook, and this one's kind of my fault. The arena markings, I didn't realize we actually had this in yards in the old rulebook, so I didn't copy it over. So it's not in yards in this rulebook. I'm sorry, we'll just have to fix that next year.
Or we could just send
we
it out
can-
as an addendum,
Yeah, and we can put it on the website as a
like a guide.
policy kind
Yeah.
of thing.
The arena remains the same. I mean,
Yeah, it remains the same. It's just not broken down in imperial
it's not American.
measurements. Yeah, it's not American. I mean, I guess we could know the metric system, but
We should.
Much
some
easier.
people do.
Much easier.
Yeah.
So, and you know, you're a ring crew person, so.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, broken equipment.
Can I ask a question
oh, go ahead.
first? On the Mid-Atlantic, last year we shortened the playing arena from 150 to 140.
Mhm.
Would you rather do that again, or would you rather use the, the rules for the games for a shortened arena?
Can we hold that one until we
Sure.
get to that part? Because
Sure.
that's different races.
Okay.
Can you remember that for me?
Well,
get
it's
there.
kind of the arena size. So,
Hmm.
but we can.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
we could just
discuss
wait.
it. We've got at the end, we've got like time for general.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, because I'd like to talk about those race options first.
Okay, all right, that's a good time.
Okay, so moving on, broken equipment. In the IMGA rulebook, it specifies a whole page here, 17, on broken equipment. And we all know IMGA uses, or we should all know that IMGA uses plastic flags, litter canes, balloon sticks, which generally don't break. We use wooden ones, and often you hear snap, 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 snap across the arena. So we just made a real brief addendum note that, in the addendum, that we're not, if a wooden flag or stick breaks, you're good. Otherwise, we'd have to stop the race and rerun it and eliminations and
So
stuff like
that's as
that.
long as it can still be used to continue the game.
Yes.
Yep.
Is anyone with poles, I assume?
Same with
Yes.
everything.
Yep.
Anything wooden, basically.
So if it snaps in half, they can still shove it to dry.
Yeah, just like they do now. We're basically not eliminating people that break a flag.
Right.
Yeah. Because, I mean, otherwise we have a whole page of elimination stuff.
Leah asked if either everybody who's commenting could speak up so they can hear the questions and comments on the live stream, or I said we could repeat the
Okay.
comments. She
Okay.
said she can only hear you and me.
So basically that if you break a flag or a stick or a bending pole, if it's wooden, just keep on going. If you can proceed, we're not going through with the whole broken equipment, page 17, IMJ rulebook. Okay. Changeovers. Okay, I just wanted to touch on something that I've seen happen quite a bit, and it's very spelled out in the IMGA rulebook that it's not allowed. A rider comes in. I come into Mitchell, and we hand off. And the handoff falls on the ground, and I hand my pony to Sarah and run back on foot and pick up the handoff and hand it to Mitchell, and she proceeds. That is not okay. There's 2 rules that make that not okay. Did I skip ahead again? Yeah, I did. Sorry, I'll just finish this one. I skipped ahead a little bit. You must remain in contact with your pony at all times unless you're in a race like hula hoop and your teammate is leading your pony. And you also must only use active riders. So in that case where I'm handing off to Mitchell, Mitchell and I would be the only active riders. So if I hand my pony to Sarah, she's not an active rider in the race. She can't hold my pony. So
like in 3-legged race where punk rock, one of them grabs both ponies.
they're both
Yeah.
active riders.
Okay.
So the question was in 3-legged sack where Mitchell and I are running in, which would be really hilarious because Mitchell will be dragging me. But we're running in, Mitchell grabs both ponies, and I grab the sack off to hand it over. That's allowed because Mitchell and I are both active riders. Anybody have any questions on that one? Okay, so,
Are you including though, a hand on the reins? Because I noticed something in here that says now you have to keep you have to keep control of your pony. You can't let your pony be free.
yeah, that's, you must remain in contact. The question is, do you have to keep your hand on the rein? No, you don't have to have your hand on the rein. If your butt's in the saddle, you don't have to have your hand in the rein, but you must remain in contact with your pony. So if your pony gets loose, okay, I'm bending the poles and knock something down and my pony gets loose, I must collect my pony and go back to the point where I lost contact. So if, you're jumping off of your pony, you get your hand on him or whatever, that's
I was
fine.
thinking about the changeover that you just talked about though. If you drop a piece of equipment in the changeover lane, you jump off your pony, leave your pony just stands there. It's really the pony.
No.
You run, that's not appropriate.
No. So the question was, if I jumped off my pony in the situation where I handed off with Mitchell and dropped the handoff, I leave my pony and run to the handoff, pick it up, my pony just stands where he is. That's not okay, because I must remain in contact with my pony. Ooh, my arm is giant. Okay, any other questions on that one? And okay, the MGA required that all along, but we missed it. Very spelled out. Handoff is dropped inside the playing area. Okay, so sorry, I skipped over number 11 here. In the changes sheet. Mitchell and I were actually talking about this one earlier, and Sarah, if I drop, Mitchell and I are handing off again. We fumble the handoff. It was a legit handoff though, and it falls into the playing field. Either rider can collect the handoff, but the rider going out, being Mitchell in this case, must be mounted behind the A line with the handoff in hand when she crosses. So if Mitchell can awesomely lean over and pick it up, she can pick it up and then has to ride back over the A line and continue. If Mitchell hops off and picks it up, Mitchell must remount and then cross the A line mounted. If I pick it up, I can hand it to Mitchell on the ground, but again, Mitchell must cross the A line mounted with the handoff. So
And
did
you have to
everybody
be back
catch that?
over the line at that point.
Yeah, and I need to be back over the A line. So we both need to be behind the A line, Mitchell mounted, and crossing the line with the handoff before the race, before Mitchell does her part of the race. Did that make sense to everybody?
So, okay, so here's the difference, that what you could do now is the rider coming in could be, so before, if we fumbled it and it went into the playing field, only the rider going out would be the person that could go out to collect it. Like the person that had just come in wouldn't be able to go back into the playing field and get it. But now, the person can go back into the playing field that has just come in and pick it up. And then, according to MGAGB, our rules contact over there, doesn't even have to get back on, but can go over the line on foot and hand it to the outgoing rider if they've already attempted the handoff mounted.
Yeah. Just like in any other correction, we attempted it mounted,
And
we're
then
correcting it.
the other part that's a little bit different, do you think that's not how they do it?
No, she was just asking about it.
The other part that's different is, supposing we do this handoff and I fly out and I'm in the playing field and Krista's hopped off really quick and the baton's in the playing field. According to MGA rules, Krista can re-enter the playing field while I'm still out there, pick up the baton, and come back across the A line on foot while I sort myself out and come back around. So because we're both active riders, we can both be in the playing field at the same time. I know it seems weird. It seems really weird.
But you're making your correction.
Yeah, there's gonna be,
You're
they're
gonna
gonna
be
back behind, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're both gonna
back.
correct it behind the A line.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like jumping the A line, essentially.
It is jumping the A line. It's
As long as
exactly.
you corrected your.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
So we're saying that as long as you correct the mistake, we're both active riders and we're both correcting the mistake just like in any other.
but I know we've been playing it so far where if that handoff goes into the A line, the incoming, or goes into the playing field, the incoming rider's like, I can't do anything, you have to get it. But that's not what the rules are going forward.
Yeah. So it gives you a little more flexibility. Like if my pony slides to a stop and Mitchell's halfway down the field, I can grab it really quick. Mitchell can come in and loop around me and grab it and go.
Mhm.
So it gives you a little bit more strategy option there.
And both of you have to be behind day before you can actually.
Yes.
Yes, because the correction or
It's
the
not completed.
changeover needs to be made behind the A. Leah, backing up, Leah texted asking, if the flag breaks, do you have to continue with the piece with the flag? And no, with the fabric on it. No, you can continue with either part that you have in your hand, as long as you can still continue the race with what you have. So let me look where we were. It's considered in. Oh, okay. So if
wait, so on a side note,
Mhm.
for the organizers who are repairing and replacing everything, should it be annotated anywhere? Who broke these? Who broke this equipment? Does anybody care about that? Okay, because at some point, somebody brought up whatever about, all the equipment being broken. Okay.
No, the question was, do we need to notate who broke a piece of equipment? And the answer is no.
General hazard wear and tear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with wooden flags, they're gonna break. That general wear and tear. So going to number 12 here, just a real quick one. If a piece of equipment, again, our handoff drops and it is touching a line, touching the A line, or the start finish line, it is considered inside the playing field. So, which isn't really a big deal at this point now, but before it would have been a big deal. But there you go. Okay, so number 13 is the one I started with in this little section. So we already got 13. And number 14, we've already touched on that with the active rider. You cannot have assistance from somebody that is not an active rider. So in the example, I can't get back on my pony. Gee, that's never happened before. And I run back to the A line, and I run up to my teammate, Sarah, behind the line, and Sarah holds my pony from her pony while I climb on, because my pony just won't stand still. Maybe she grabs my belt loop and pulls me up. And that's not okay. You cannot have assistance. So Sarah cannot grab my belt loop and pull me up, nor can she hold my pony. But I could park next to Sarah, so my pony thinks he's being held as I climb back on. But Sarah will clearly keep her hands to her own pony and her own self and not assist me, because she is not an active rider in that race.
Wait, but an active rider can help you?
Yeah, if I was in hula hoop.
So the definition of the active rider, it says to be active, a rider must have started but not yet completed their part of the race. So that's how we come to the part where in the changeover, both become active riders. But if you haven't started your changeover, then you would not be considered active. So even though those 4 people are on your team, since they haven't started their part of the race, or they have finished their part of the race, they're not active yet. So they can't assist.
In Patty's question, what was your question again?
Whether an active rider.
Whether an active rider could help me. Well, the only time I'm going to have an active rider in the field is if I'm in like hula hoop, which, you can hold my pony while I get on. Please don't let go of my pony while I'm getting on.
How about the ones that get them a running start?
Well, that's true.
Yeah, so that's a good question.
At the start line, the ones that can't go out.
You can do that behind the A line because they haven't started their race yet. So the question was, if you're behind the 10-yard line or the holding box line, if Sarah can lead my pony to the line.
But can you touch another person's pony?
But see, we're not active riders.
That's true. So that would be 2 inactive riders assisting each other.
Yeah. So Sarah could ride up to my coach can lead me up to the 10-yard line.
As they do now.
As they do now. And Sarah could lead me to the 10-yard line. But once we get to the 10-yard line and I enter that holding box, I'm part of the, I'm an active rider.
Before the box.
Yeah, just like before, you could have help behind the box. Okay. If Sarah needs to fix a boot or something, and I can hold her pony while we're waiting for our turns or between races.
So suppose you become separated from your pony and someone catches it for you.
That's allowed.
Yes.
While you're mounting.
No.
Okay, so as the rider, you have to make sure they let go of your horse while you
Yes.
It's your responsibility, not the person that caught it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the question was, if I'm out in the race and my pony gets loose and it runs back to the A line and Sarah grabs my pony. That is allowed because Sarah's grabbing a loose pony. That's the exception to the rule, which you'll see in the IMGA rulebook. It's very clear, except in the case of a loose pony.
Yeah, it's under the loose pony.
So Sarah holds my pony, I run back, I go to get on my pony, Sarah needs to let go of my pony. And as the active rider, that's my responsibility to say, okay, I've got my pony. And then again, because my pony was loose, I need to return to where I lost my pony before continuing the race. Okay, so now we just finished assistance, which is 14 in the changes rule. Are we good? Do we have another question?
Okay, so, so same thing, you have, and the fourth rider.
Okay, so let's say that you have a fourth rider coming in, and you're only supposed to have assistance from an active rider. But you have the fourth rider, and they're coming in, they're doing something with the flag, they drop the flag. They dismount because I can't get the flag off the ground. They try to remount, but they are unable to do it within the field of play. So they start, they go down to the box to get some assistance, but they can no longer get assistance because there is no longer an additional active rider to assist them on their play.
Yeah.
So how do you fix that?
Well, like Krista was saying, technically, I think in any kind of situation where you would need to lead your pony in, because you haven't started the changeover, there's not an active rider anyway. Even if you're number 2 and you drop your flag in the middle of the field, because you weren't like coming in to hand off, nobody else has started their part of the race.
So you're saying if you can't get back out to the field?
No.
Okay. So the question real quick is, if I'm in the field and I drop my flag and I get off and pick it up and then I get back on my pony, but I'm back behind the line by Sarah and I can't get my pony to go back out into the field of play?
Right, to fix the...
To continue my race. And no, Sarah could not lead me to the line because she's not an active rider.
Yeah.
If I can't get my pony back over the line, then that's
Probably we'll just blow the whistle.
Yeah.
On you.
Are
Yeah.
you allowed, if you get off in the middle of the field, you have a pony that gets a little jittery, you cannot walk the pony back to the herd or back to your
No,
team.
you could do that.
You could.
Yeah, you could.
So if you're willing to take the time hit, that's fine, as long as no one else touches your pony. You
Yeah,
just park
so you
beside your
could-
neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just like park your pony in the group, but nobody can like hold their head or anything.
So again, we're going back to assistance. If I can't get back on my pony because he won't stand still, I can ride back to my team, stand next to my team, although they cannot assist me and hold my pony. I can climb back on and then continue the race. Just using my team as a pony comfort without being touched.
Yeah.
Can you use the fence to get on?
No. Can you use the
Well,
fence
you
to
could
get on?
like put your pony
Put your
up
pony's
against
face
it,
against
but I don't
Yeah.
think you could like stand on
Use
like
the
climb.
mounting
No.
Yeah. So I could use it to kind of box my pony against the fence so he's not moving, but I can't climb up the fence and then climb onto my pony.
No,
That
if your
doesn't
horse,
seem safe
if you're back
anyway.
here and your horse puts its head over another horse, you know how they'll do.
Yeah.
As long as somebody doesn't touch your horse, they're
Yeah.
not okay, even though they might be.
Yeah. So the question is, I go back to my team to get on, so my pony will stand still, and my pony puts its head over a teammate's pony. That's fine, as long as my teammates do not assist me by holding my pony.
Okay, so for.
So, I'm like the only one that has this problem, so.
But stuff happens and
Yes.
Yeah.
horses get jittery and things do whatever. So technically then at that point, I can bring my horse over to where all that equipment is standing and get it wedged in between stuff and get on my pony.
You
Just protect you, not.
No, because you're not in the, if there's the mark stating you're not in the playing field.
So that actually, it would, like, I'm thinking of our different arenas. So at the Grange, you would have left, actually, we don't put side marks down
I
there.
haven't seen it.
We have been a few times, though.
I don't know. I mean, that would just be kind of like ridiculous
Last-ditch effort,
thing
but
to do.
I'm just.
You'd also be leaving your lane to go trump
Yeah.
across different lanes.
There's no interference because there's no one else left in the field.
Oh, I would have blown the whistle a long time ago. Any referee that's,
I
they
mean,
would've
we've
blown the
definitely
whistle at
had
that point.
people
I'm
like,
thinking the issues where you've got two teams that are both having trouble.
yeah,
For whatever their reasons, and this is what your problem is, and if these are solutions,
Are they allowed?
Okay, in the very, very opportune instance where that would happen,
I mean, it is
it's
allowed.
not technically not allowed, but you'd be, run back to your team.
Like, yeah, that would be.
Your players can stand better.
Do you think like people do like get caught up on that fence, especially like at PG in all the equipment? It is allowed. So some things we could do to change that would be to change our playing field so that
I'm gonna mark it.
yeah.
The equipment area is not the playing area. Done.
Yeah.
We could keep the
So if there's a markdown,
It's a mark
so the
down.
question is, if you can lead your pony over to the equipment, park in between some equipment on the side of the arena where the equipment crew is, and then climb onto your pony because he's trapped between all the equipment. Technically, you could do that unless there's the line down marking the playing field. Sharon says that at MA1 and 6, there will be a line marking the playing field. I just see that as a very rare
do we use
situation.
the flags?
So Dana's asking about mounting blocks, no more mounting blocks. It's really technically up to the referee. Janie has allowed it in the past. Mitchell has not allowed it in the past. If you need a mounting block, you'll have to talk to your referee.
Did we address the mounting block?
Yeah, okay, so the question is, from Dana in Canada, no more mounting blocks, question mark. It's really up to your referee. Janie has allowed mounting blocks. She puts it down at the very end of the far end of the arena, and it's open, it's in the middle, open for any team to use. Mitchell does not allow that, so it's something you need to talk to your referee about. There's nothing technically in the rule book saying you can't use a mounting block. So it's really up to your referee. I would allow it because I know how hard it is to get on sometimes. But I don't referee at Fossils, which is generally where that's going to be allowed. If I was refereeing Masters, I would not allow that. If you can't get on your pony, you don't belong in Masters. So,
I was wondering this question about the equipment. I can't find it in here. I know in the IMGA rules, the edges of the playing field used to be marked by flags at all the corners.
Yeah, you need to cross over the line between the flags.
So, do the flags also have that lengthwise border? And if you go out of the length border?
I don't believe so, but
that's what I'm wondering.
We can check into that.
I'm trying to find it in here. I don't even see anything about that anymore.
Got a lot more poles then.
Well, I'm going to assume, unless it's actually marked, that it's good because it specifies you must cross over the line within the flags, the A line or the C line, within the flags to finish your portion of the race. So I don't see why it would state that unless you might go out of that anyway.
Well, I know that when we did the Mall Madness and we had that huge field, we marked the playing arena.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, essentially, if our organizers mark.
Outside of the playing field, if something goes outside of the playing field, why should the rider be allowed to go?
So,
well, we're saying if the playing field hasn't been marked where the extra equipment is sitting. If there's a line there, why don't all of our organizers just put a line there and then this is not even a question?
Well,
while Mitchell's looking into that, we'll go ahead and move along a little bit.
So bad. I'll be back.
You can go. So now we're down to falls, contact, injuries, which we've already kind of talked about. You must remain in contact with your pony during the race. It doesn't mean that you have to be holding onto your pony. Your butt is contact. We're not saying if you jump off your pony and while you're in the air, you're not holding onto your pony. That's fine. We're not being over sticklers here. You know, a blink of an eye, whatever. If you're going to do a vault and you let go for 10 seconds, you're still right next to your pony vaulting on, and your hand is not actually touching your pony for, while you jump. You're okay. Yeah. If you're that good, go for it. So that's not saying, because that was a question earlier. If you're going to vault on and you've let go of your pony for a fraction of a second while you do your skip or whatever, that's not losing contact with your pony. Losing contact with your pony is letting go of your pony to go fix something while your pony stands there, or your pony is hightailing it away from you back to the team because you fell down or let go of it. That's losing contact with your pony. Is that
If you fell down though, that's.
losing contact with your pony?
But if you fall down and you bounce back up,
If you fall down and you lay there and the referee blows the whistle because you're laying there, then the race stopped. So, different situation. If you fall down and you get back up and your pony runs away, you've lost contact with your pony. You may not lead a pony by the bit. That's clearly in the IMGA rules. I don't know if I copied it word for word, but it's in there. So that's that. If a race, okay, here's one that's slightly different. If a race is stopped for an injury, this is going to be different for us. Julie, this is going to be a scoring difference. If the referee blows the whistle for a rider hurting themselves, if you're laying on the ground in the fossil division and you can't get up, and the referee blows the whistle to stop the race for an injured rider, like frequently happens in all the divisions, the race is stopped. When the race is rerun, your team will not be included in the rerun as usual, but you will score at the bottom of the scoring. So you're not being penalized for getting hurt.
But you're being rewarded for not finishing the game.
It's in the rule book. I'm not
I mean,
challenging
so
that.
I get it, but as it says, this means that team, you can get 2 points for not finishing it. That part makes me crazy.
That's if another team is eliminated.
Right,
Okay,
I
so
get
the
that, but that
example
makes me
is,
crazy. I mean,
it's in the rules. It's in the IMGA rules. We're not changing all the rules. So if I'm in the race and I fall off my pony, and I'm laying there because I'm hurt, I'm not agile anymore. I don't jump back up every time. And Mitchell's the referee, and she's like, oh God, Krista's not getting back up. So she blows the whistle. Injured rider. The race stops. I was the first rider in my team. Our team sits out of the rerun of the race. During the rerun of the race, Sarah makes a mistake in her team, and her team is eliminated because she jumped the A line during a changeover. Sarah's team is eliminated and gets 0 points. My team was already eliminated for me being hurt and stopping the race. We get the lowest amount of points. So Sarah's team would get 0 points in that race. Let's say there's 6 lanes. I would have been getting 1 point for being the last team place. But because Sarah's team was eliminated, my team gets 2 points because we beat Sarah's team, which was eliminated for playing improperly. Does that make sense to everybody? Everybody on thing? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it
And then
doesn't
in
make
the
sense. I don't
asymmetric
really
heats-
like
in
it
asymmetric
either.
heats, you could even win more.
Yeah,
This-
but on the
any
other
teacher-
hand, do think of it like in another type of situation, like when Jill got knocked off so hard and her team was penalized because they did have to stop the race. If they, it wasn't, it would be a little bit more fair to give them like the higher points than to give them the 0 for being eliminated. Do you see what I'm saying? I agree with you. I said to Krista, I was like, this just means that people like, if you fall, you just lie on the ground and like, I'm hurt.
But then you're totally being like a big baby, and I'm going to make fun of you.
That's true. That's true. But
so if Aiden falls down and Aiden just lays there
It
because
becomes
he's like,
strategic. At some point, it can become strategic.
it could. It could.
but if Aiden, I'm just using you as an example because I know you wouldn't do that, Aiden. If Aiden falls off and he's like, oh, I want to get 1 point, so I'm just going to lay here and pretend like I'm hurt until Krista blows the whistle.
But the other flip side of this,
Someone has to be eliminated for that. There have to be strategy though.
To
get more points.
I think
Or,
yeah.
what if you're in an asymmetric heat? In an asymmetric heat, you're getting more points to begin with. So then all right, so if you're the last, right, you're getting more points to begin with. So
We're not nitpicking the IMGA rules. The whole world is using these but us until now. So
No, it's
we're not
okay. It's
fucking
okay.
every rule.
I think
I see your
maybe
point,
it can go to the
but
rule book for
that's
next
just the way
year.
it
The
is.
rule
If you
book
want to lay
item.
there and act like a big baby just to
Right,
get an
I
extra
get it.
point.
I understand that.
But you also could jump back up, run and get your pony, fix the race, and win it.
hopefully situations like where somebody is out because they've been injured and then another team gets eliminated won't happen very often. I know.
In the first series.
And if it happens, it happens. I mean, that's the way the rules work.
It's.
I mean, it's happened to me. I rode in an IMGA competition, and my team was eliminated. Another team was eliminated for a fall. We reran the race. My team was eliminated for a line changeover. We got 0 points, and they got 2 points. It happened. We were angry, but it happened.
And also, I just, like, I'm trying to, like, work through it all in my head, like, a situation where it is a little weird, but I don't think hopefully it won't, like, affect the
Well, we can
fallout
see
of
how it goes over the
everything.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Leah asked that what if it happens during a collision, like what happened
Yeah.
with
Yeah, that's what I was just
with
saying.
Jill and Skittles, that the points would be split. I mean, I can double check on that.
Well, actually, like,
Because it might be, they're eliminated.
yeah, in
Oh,
a
it is?
situation like
Okay, never mind, they're eliminated.
Instruction, they're eliminated.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I suppose if the referee is on the line and they're like, both ponies were at fault, it would be split.
Yeah, like, that particular situation was definitely an interference.
Yeah,
Like,
that,
causing-
an interference, so, I don't like pulling names of people that aren't here, but, Jill's team would have been injury
Yes.
and gotten the lowest amount of points. The other team would have been obstruction and gotten 0 points for elimination.
Yes.
If it had been head on head and the referee couldn't say who was at fault, then it would have been a split.
Yes.
Are we gonna talk about concussions?
No.
Well,
No, we'll touch on that, but
yeah, we
I didn't know where.
we don't have a good answer, but we have an answer.
But yeah, that's exactly.
But can we get to that, can you bring that up at the end?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so
Um,
there's things that are not in the rule book that we're putting into a procedures manual, and we're going to address that at the end of the day today. So that's things like concussions, severe weather, like all those kinds of little things that like
policies
aren't like rules of play, but that MGAA felt like needs to be addressed.
So back to Canada, what happens if 2 teams have injuries? I think I just answered that, and I'm not sure if you texted me before I answered that. If the race is stopped, like in the example with Jill that we already used, just to reiterate real quickly, Jill was not at fault in that. So Jill's team would not take part in the rerun, but would have gotten the lowest amount of points because they were just injured. They could take part in the rerun if it weren't a bad injury, but in that situation, okay, you got it. Never mind. She said she's got it. Everybody's good with
Wait, I do
this
have
section?
another question.
Okay.
What if 2 teams both have injuries like separate? Like we stop the race because somebody falls off. So they're gonna get their 1 point, and then we rerun the race and somebody else falls off. This could happen. It's a stretch, but it could happen. Would that second team also get 1 point, or would they both get
split the
half a
point.
point?
they would split.
Okay.
That's,
Julie, do you agree with that as a
Julie?
score? Yeah, that's what I would.
Okay.
I mean, that's, yeah, far-fetched, but
Because they're tied.
yeah. Julie says because they're tied, in that situation, they'd split the points. Okay, so are we good on falls, contact, and injuries? Can everybody just not fall off, lose contact with their pony, or get hurt? So let's talk about heat sorting. We can talk about that now, or we can skip that to the end of this section. Are you guys skip it to the end? Okay, so we're going to skip heat sorting, which is number 18 and 19, to the end of the changes in 2021, 22. So we're going to skip down to start and finish. We are now, this is a change for us, 23. At the start of a race, if a rider holds up their hand, the referee is supposed to hold the race. If your pony's spinning, you're adjusting your something or other. But that stated, this is not to be abused. So if the same rider is doing it in every race, the referee is not going to be cool with that. And again, our referees have full control of the field. So it's kind of up to that referee when enough is enough.
yeah, you better get.
And how it'll be handled. Personally, I'd go over to you and say, okay, enough, put a new rider first.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't handle the starts, or I'm not gonna listen to your hand anymore. Get your tack on right, get your pony straight. And, you know, we are continuing our starts as before with moving, moving forward. I can't think of the exact wording right now. So you shouldn't be holding your hand up because your pony's facing the wrong direction, which seems to be the most held up hands at the start line. Your pony's facing the wrong way. If you're moving forward with the whole group, your pony should not be turning around. So you should not be holding your hand up for that.
So what I see the most though is a lack of paying
Yeah, they're
attention
not
to
paying
changing over to the next game.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I really
Yeah.
don't care whether you just decided to be,
I agree.
you know.
So the question is, it's more of a statement. Claudia says that what she sees more is people that aren't paying attention to the next race starting, and so they're not paying attention. And yeah, you're not paying attention. Once that whistle blows and you're supposed to be at the 10-yard line, if you're still sorting out your orders, and too bad. You won't do it after you get left behind the first time. I agree with you on that one. And of course, that's referee's discretion. Pay attention to what's going on. Just to reiterate, it's always been this way. The finish is called by the head of the pony. If it's in a race with more than one pony, it's the second pony. If it's
The only exception would be, I think, three-legged sack.
yeah, three-legged sack would be the exception, and it would be the second rider. Their head, but I know that's come up a few times. Head of the pony.
I thought they were the last feet.
Yeah, it's the last feet.
The last feet.
Yes,
Okay.
of the last horse.
So you
Yeah.
can't just lean.
No,
I mean,
it's
Oh,
the
it's
feet.
the pony.
It's the last feet of the pony.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yep.
wrong. It is the last feet of the pony.
But I
in
look to see
Hula
if
hoop.
that's the case.
I mean, three-legged sack.
But yeah, it's in none of the races. It's in the pony club races. It's not in
Yeah.
any of ours.
Yeah. And then so for hula hoop, it would be the head of the second pony.
Yes.
The nose of the second
And hula hoop
pony.
or pony pairs.
Okay.
There's no other pair races that I can think of. Are you saying that's not in our rule book at all?
No. She was saying it's in the pony club section. It should be in our road, or I don't know if we have a pony club section.
Can somebody look at our addendum real quick and see if that, Aiden, can you
Yeah, I
look and
got
see
it.
if that's
I
under?
got it right here.
Mitchell's got it. She beat you.
The winner is determined by the last. Oh, we were wrong, Claudia.
What page are you on?
In the addendum, page 26, the winner is determined by the last rider to cross the finish line.
I was right.
But the rule before that says, nope, that is it. Yeah, that's three-legged.
So three-legged sack, it is the second rider's head.
Well,
Not the chest.
Not the chest,
hopefully
not
the
the
two
feet.
riders are together.
Does it specify head or is it just the second?
It just says rider.
Okay, so three-legged sack, it is the second rider crossing the line. Nothing to do with ponies there.
Part of their body.
Yeah, if you can lean your head out and throw it across the line a little
But
bit faster,
I would
you're
say
good.
if you've left pony legs in the field, you're not done with the race.
No, you would still be moving forward,
But you would determine the winner by
Who hits that line
Or if
first?
the person falls across the finish line, the pony's still in the field of play.
you're not done. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know plenty of people.
Okay, so are we good on this calling of the finish?
Yep.
Everybody? Okay. Okay, we're good. And let's skip down to officials. Okay, so IMGA does their officials. We're under the arenas officials and procedures section now of the IMGA rulebook 27. Really? Oh yeah, 27. Okay. They list their referees slightly different for their scoring and finishing. So they have a judge and a judge's writer. We generally have our line A with scribe, and our scorers, replacing those positions. So for ease of everything, we kept our, that is an option for us. So we would still have our scorers in their box doing their scoring. This is more of a logistics thing for us, or a feng shui kind of thing, because IMGA tends to have a box, like a trailer parked at the A line, where the scribe, Julie in this case, would be sitting right on the A line in a box where nobody can talk to her. Since we don't really have that option, well, not a box, like a...
Do you mean Julie as the scorer?
Yeah, as the scorer.
Sure, okay.
So in that situation, she would be the judge, according
Yep.
to the IMGA
Mhm.
rules. We don't have that kind of setup. We hide Julie in an announcer stand, and so nobody can talk to her up there, but she's not on the A line. So we use our line A person with scribe, and they have a writer because
So also,
that's the way it
like,
works.
as I understand it, in IMGA, that person calls the finish and does all the scoring. I don't
They
think
usually
that's
have an assistant, but
good.
so we just do it a little different because of our setup, and we're sticking, it's just the same as we've always been doing. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed with the way we have our scoring and our line finish calls. So in the IMGA rulebook, you'll refer to them as judge, which is our line A with scribe, our judge's writer, which is the scribe, And we added scorer because they're not really listed. So we listed our officials in the addendum just to make it a little bit more clear. And it's been pretty much copied, or no, I had to rewrite them, I think. I can't remember.
So according to this, and according to the last time we ever met about this, the scribe doesn't actually score anything. And yet, they spend the time doing that, which frequently slows play on the field because someone's missed something, just added something, put something in, whatever, and they go back and forth between the
But
scorer.
it checks accuracy.
It does.
It's just a double check.
Yeah, double
It doesn't, I don't think it really holds anything up.
I've had it hold up, so,
Mm.
you know, while.
You could ask them
No, it's
to
still
hold their
working.
check
In a
until
number of
the next
times,
race
we
is
have
done.
had differences. Julie. Wouldn't you agree that?
I think
Yeah.
it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So the question is, Claudia stated that she doesn't, I guess it wasn't a question, it was a statement that the race is held up by the scribe, which is with next to line A with the judge, scoring on their sheet, which does happen, and it's a check to make sure the scoring is added correctly with the scorers up in the score box, and they use a little radio to discuss. The answer is that that's fine. If Claudia feels like it's holding a race up, she can ask them to do that after the next race. Did everybody hear that?
Sorry, no.
That is okay. Do that. But Claudia, in that case, you can say, hey, whoever scribed, do it after the next race. We have a long setup then.
Yep.
So we can keep moving. I personally don't think I've had that as a holdup, but maybe it's just because
And
I've had
think it's a
different
good
scribes.
thing because sometimes it's happened where as the scorer, I don't get a change that was made. We finished.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We changed the finish and I didn't get that. So my score is not right. So if we check every 3 races or so, to make sure our points, because
Yeah.
sometimes you do have to go back and, okay, where did this happen? We agreed here.
Yeah.
And you're okay with them saying, hey,
Yeah.
Claudia, referee, whoever, I'm just using you.
Yeah, I don't think it should
Said wait to the
ever
next
like
race.
hold up
Yeah.
the play.
So Julia said that
Yeah.
she really likes the scribe writing the scores as well, because checking every 3 races, she might have missed a change of finish, an elimination that came up, and she might have missed that. So it checks all the scores and makes sure she has everything right every 3 or 4 races or so. And again, if the referee feels like it's holding the race, just ask the scribe to hold that until the end of the next race. So are we good on that question? Okay, so we also listed the organizer and just basic tasks in the addendum. It's very basic. It's basically you're in charge of everything with running the competition.
Can I bring up the TD thing now?
Well, that's the next question. We no longer have a TD. We did do a lot of research on this. The TD's job is basically split between our referee and our organizer, and has been, which we feel is what's caused the conflicts in the past, because there's overlap. So we have removed the TD, and because of which is in line with the IMGA rulebook, and we assumed that that could cause some ground jury questions, which we kept a ground jury because some of our referees have said that they've not felt comfortable calling certain things on their own, maybe a lame pony, and they would like to have a team effort on that, which that's fine. So most of our competitions have multiple organizers and multiple referees, so the ground jury can be made up of multiple people from either of those parties. So like at MA1, you'll have Sharon and Diane as the organizers, and you'll have 3 referees. So out of those 5 people, you can determine what you feel is needed for the ground jury. So, okay, go ahead with the question.
Oh, I was just saying that I just, as an organizer, you wear a lot of hats. as
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
So I just have to make sure that I don't wear as many hats.
Yes.
So I'll be calling all of you. for more
I
work.
think the rulebook committee really looked into what a technical delegate really is across most equine sports.
And I also looked into other sports as well.
Yeah,
Like, there was like downhill
versus
skiing or something.
what we were using our technical delegate for, and really what we were doing, basically having the TD like kind of just be like check the rules with the referee and be the person that the objections could go to, is not actually what technical delegates do. So we decided, or the rulebook committee decided, and then sent it to the BOG as a vote, that we would take it back and follow what IMGA does, which is not have a technical delegate and go back to having the referee be the final say on, well, I mean, the referee was always the final say, but just like take that piece out. I think maybe if we ever are a bigger sport or like a USF recognized sport, we might have to have a TD again. But I think it's more like they do things like make sure the facilities are all,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the main job,
Yeah.
was to check the arena, the equipment, the facility, make sure the facility's up to standards. Well, our organizer already does that.
But I think if you read our rule book, that is what it said, the TV did.
Yeah.
Somehow in our practice, it evolved. into something.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it did. Yeah.
So, and technically, we didn't need somebody to check the facility as a special job because our organizer, Sharon, I keep pointing to you because you're an organizer and sitting right next to me. Because our organizers
Yeah.
already, we don't need the TD to show up to the grounds and say, oh, this is not adequate. Because everybody else is pulling in right behind them.
Yeah.
And we trust our organizers to get qualified facilities and make sure they have everything they need.
I just
So,
want to clarify
there's
that
an
in terms
overlap.
of the ground jury, the organizer decides that the day of the competition, or all those people you're saying are now included? If there's 3 referees, all 3 of those referees and 2 organizers would now be, and the,
Well, maybe for masters.
so the question is, who decides what the ground jury is? Does the organizer decide in advance that I'm using these 2 referees and just me, or what?
that day, okay, the ground jury for the day or the ground jury for masters is going to be these
I don't know.
So you wouldn't have to decide that because,
Well, there's a whole new section that's new this year in IMGA that's appeals, and I don't know.
we're not going with appeals. Yeah, we're not doing anything with appeals, which is a different thing anyway. But the things that you would use a ground jury for is a lame pony or poor behavior. The
So-
organizer or the referee can call either.
It should be the ref.
But,
Yeah, but it
well, if the
it
bad
doesn't happen
behavior,
in the arena with the ref there.
whoever you want at that time.
at the moment.
At the moment, if you can't get, Mitchell and I are both referees and Mitchell's off doing something, the referee is basically saying, I want backup. They don't have to ask for backup to say, this pony's lame,
So, but
out of the
I
ring.
guess what I'm understanding she's saying is that does the organizer need to designate beforehand
Yeah.
who is on the ground jury? And does the ground jury have a certain number? Can it only be 3 people or can it be like
It's not
5 people?
specified.
It just needs to be
It
odd.
needs to be
an odd number.
An odd number, okay. So are we, yeah, so are we saying
You need a 3rd person.
that the ground jury can be made up of 3 to 5 people?
Technically, we don't need a ground jury. The only need for the ground jury is if
Sure.
a referee or an organizer wants support from other officials in a call.
So we're saying you don't
So-
need to designate it ahead of time, but it can only be selected out of the referees and the organizers.
Yeah, so if
Okay.
I'm refereeing and I see a pony that's lame, and I don't feel comfortable saying,
Yeah.
Sarah, your pony is dead lame, which if Sarah's pony's dead lame, I think Sarah would appreciate me saying, Sarah, your pony's dead lame, get it out of the ring. And Sarah would be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
But if I didn't feel comfortable, yeah, if I didn't feel comfortable, maybe I wanted some backup, or I'm not sure if the pony looks lame, and I'm like, hey, Mitchell,
Yeah.
Patty, you are the organizer and another referee. Can you look at this with me? I don't feel like this pony's lame.
Yeah.
And Sarah would probably say, well, if you think my pony's lame, I'm still taking it out of the ring anyway.
Mm.
It's more if you want support, or if Julie gets hot-headed and starts yelling at somebody for cheating in the middle of the ring, and Mitchell as referee doesn't feel comfortable saying, Julie, you need to leave.
Yeah.
You know, the ring, this is not appropriate. Mitchell could call Patty and myself as other officials and say, hey, can you give me some support here? Julie's throwing a temper tantrum in the middle. I mean, Julie would never do that. But, you know,
Not these days.
So you against them.
no.
What you're doing though is you're setting it up so that you're always gonna win. You need to be more like saying, okay, it'll be the organizers and it'll be the refs. I understand that you would do it in reality in an unbiased way, but the way that it's coming across, it sounds like the riders are gonna lose.
They are. Because it's not a fight. It's me saying your pony's not lame.
Oh, no.
Out of the ring.
Not, well.
Maybe I'm not understanding what you're saying. You can't question the referee.
Well, that's why we have those TDs and the ground juries. Sometimes the organizers are wrong. It happens.
I don't know if I'm following you.
Yeah.
What is she for?
She's getting into appeals, which you're not doing, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're not doing
okay, yeah,
appeals.
so we're only talking
I
about,
just think you need to designate who's gonna be on the ground jury now instead of saying, oh, you're close to me and you're close to me.
But it
You're-
is.
No, but it is designated.
Referees and organizers
Okay.
for
Yeah.
each individual competition.
I mean, that's what it states in the rules. Yeah, I'm just saying if one referee is not available, you don't have to stop the whole competition to go fetch your referee that's in the bathroom or
Tacking up.
eating
the phone.
lunch or tacking up or
I think if you need the
whatever.
ground jury, I'm not stopping the competition at that time anyway. It's
No.
gotta wait until the end of that division.
I would say
Exactly.
the only time you'd stop would be in like the lane pony
Yeah,
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, really, the only need for a ground jury is somebody's breaking the
Oh, people
sportsmanship.
ride lane ponies.
If you see somebody drinking and they're under 21 and you're the
I know.
referee, do you really need the ground jury support?
And
If you
that's
feel
what
like you need the ground jury support, they're there. Just grab the other referees and organizers that are available.
Okay, well, hang on. In terms of just making sure you have everyone's support, there have been instances where, should have done something, but that makes that group a 3-man team now. Okay, so yeah, there are instances.
So you're
where,
not gonna call a pony that's lame because you don't wanna hurt a team?
for
Is that
other
what you're
reasons,
saying?
for behavior, for whatever else.
Well, and maybe,
And that whole thing is very subjective,
yeah, and
right?
I
That's
think
subjective.
maybe like when Krista's saying support, to me, it's also like, just to like,
Consult.
not even to say
Yes.
back me up, but like more of a consult.
Yeah.
Like, I think, this person is out of line. What should we do? Like, I'm ready to throw them out. And maybe the two organizers will be like, no,
Calm down.
it's okay. We're just going to speak to them and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Or
So-
interpreting how to correctly correct a race. So they did this and then did this, and was that the right way? Having, your ground jury is going to allow you
I
to
think
discuss with
The
the
race,
No, that one's all up to
races
the
would just be
referee.
only
But no,
referee.
But if the referee is unclear, there are designated people that they can speak with.
I don't know if that falls to the ground jury in the
No,
rules.
think so.
it
No?
doesn't.
Yeah, and I think that's
Okay.
kind of what we got into with the TD, where we never really meant for the TD to like be that person.
Okay.
And then that is
Yeah.
what happened.
I mean, if you read the referee
So,
They
is.
have to know it and they have to
So,
make a
yeah,
judgment.
All decisions of the referee are final.
My arena,
Page 27.
behave yourselves.
Somebody else called it.
Yeah.
Those other judges.
I think like one of the things like with the situation where the lame pony, I think we've definitely had riders who've said their pony's not lame when it looks lame to everybody else. So it's just good to get a consensus.
And
Rather,
back to the poor sportsmanship.
yeah, or
We have a zero tolerance on that. So, yeah, I would want to talk to my ground jury in that situation as an organizer or referee. But we also have a zero tolerance. We're not letting Julie throw a fit in the middle of the ring.
We should also.
Not Julie. Okay, no new questions. Are we good on officials? Are we ready to move to races? Everybody? Okay, Anita did point out I missed one in this races thing, the changes list.
Oh, wait, before we go
Which
to the
one is
races, I don't think, it doesn't say in the changes, because it's not a change, but we should address that we are not about the appeals.
Oh, yeah, if you look through our addendum, we specify we are not recognizing the appeals section in the IMGA rulebooks at MGAA competitions.
So we decided, at least for this first year, we have a lot of changes happening. We're moving to this new rule book. We are not going to go into the appeals.
On page 7.
Maybe in the future, but
The appeals process will not be recognized at MGAA events. No appeals can be made.
we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just flipping through this right now. We're gonna get to heat sorting.
So if somebody, I just have a question.
Yep.
If somebody doesn't like your call and they approach a ref to ask a question, because you know what's gonna happen, people are gonna be like, why did I get eliminated? What is that gonna be deemed unsportsmanlike behavior for asking a question?
If you stand out there and yell at the referee for 15 minutes, yes.
Yes.
If you
If you wait till the race is over and you, Sarah, on your team approach just you,
Yeah.
go to Mitchell and say, hey, Mitchell, I'm just curious. What was that elimination for? And Mitchell says, oh, you had a line A violation. And you think to yourself, no, I didn't. But you say to Mitchell, oh, okay, thank you. Which riders was it? And she says, oh, it was you, Sarah. And you're like, oh, no, it wasn't. But you don't say that to Mitchell. You just say, okay, thank you.
Well,
Can you
probably
simply
even
say,
if
I
you
disagree,
say,
but then I
mean,
move on?
People have definitely come up and said, no, I didn't, to me, which is fine. I understand. But if you continue to stand there and berate me and argue, then that trickles over into unsportsmanlike.
Okay, a perfect example. Last year at a competition, my team was called for a line A violation, and we happened to have Sharon taping. And we were really sure because we were being very careful about our changeovers, but we were moving fast. It was at Grange, so we had lots of space and we could get a good flying handover. And I went up after the race and I said to, I think Alicia was our referee, and I said, Alicia, what happened? And she said, oh, there was a changeover between such and such riders. I don't remember which ones. And I said, okay, thank you. And then I went back and looked at the video, and we saw we weren't even like a pony's length in the line. So later on, outside of the arena, I just said, hey, Alicia, I wanted to let you know we did look at the video and it didn't happen. I totally respect your call, but it didn't happen. So she was working with young intermediate people calling the finishes, so she could be aware that maybe this person needs to be reminded that they need to be 100% sure
to make an elimination.
That the ponies.
If they have the right team.
Yeah.
That's more frequently the case, that it's, they got the wrong team.
Yeah. So that just let the referee know that she needed something to look at, but I was polite and respectful. The whole team didn't barge up and start yelling.
So I hate it when people come up to me after and are like, well, I looked at the video and you were wrong. Don't do that to me because it'll just piss me off.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't say you were wrong. I said
just
so it didn't happen.
Official video, as far as I'm concerned, videos don't count. Right? End of story.
No, and it actually specifies in the rule book that videos that are taken by other people are not counted for anything. And I wasn't asking her to change anything. I was just saying, you know.
So I've actually had people, and usually the problem is it was the score was sent up wrong, the finish was sent up wrong. So what I don't see at any of our events is a score sheet where there's plenty of room to put down exactly what happened. Like it was an A-line violation between 2 and 3, or 3 and 4. I mean, when I have enough and I'm actually scribing anything, I'll say that's what it is because
you're
someone's
supposed
gonna
to do
ask
that.
me, but there's no place to put it.
So we could
What I'm saying is-
you're saying reformat the score sheet.
Perhaps, or add something to the score sheet so that it makes it
Add a backside.
really, I mean, a backside isn't even enough, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think you need more.
space.
Because when there's a problem, there's usually 8 problems in that.
Just start yelling, sissy.
Well, one time, I know this was at the Grange, this happened when we ran, I don't know if we had 7 or 9 lanes, and you have your A-line judges, and I was on the upper side, and we had the scoring down on the bottom side, and there's a little bit of a wave in that. Well, so we're running races, and Italian Stallions was here, and there was another boy who, at the start of the race, jumped the line, he corrected it on another team, and everything's running, we're on to the next race, we're going along. Next thing, the announcer goes off and goes, oh, and Italian Stallions was eliminated. Well, I knew they weren't eliminated. Nobody conferred with me at that A line. And the call was the call. It stayed the same. But I think I did text Stacy after that. I said, you know, that was a matter of really tight competition of points. So if you're making those calls, you really got to confer with your other A-line judge. Just don't keep going.
So Sissy's saying that it's very good for the A-line with scribe and the A-line without scribe to confer on calls for changeover violations, eliminations, jump starts, such like that, so that the call isn't made on the wrong team. And she used an example where the call was made on the wrong team and the call that was made wasn't accurate anyway. And her being as a line A without scribe wasn't consulted, where the ruling could have been correct and the play was very close in points. So it potentially could have changed the outcome of the competition.
So that was going to be my next point. What if you know that there was an error in scribing? For example, you know, my team gets eliminated, but we finished the race and heck, we came in first or second. You're not challenging it. You're just like,
right. So
can we please double check that? It's not an appeal. It's just, hey, I think there's something wrong.
I think in the case of like scoring or scribing, you can definitely, I would say at that time, approach the referee and say, hey, I think that finish was, they just announced it and that wasn't what it was.
And sometimes it
Yeah.
is an announcer, a scribe
'Cause-
thing, so.
3 games later and they find out.
Yeah,
and
that's
then-
what
Yeah.
happens.
That's
And I-
exactly what's usually
Well,
what
and I
happens.
think that also brings up that it's really important for the announcers to announce every race, because sometimes the team doesn't know, and people in A-lines make mistakes, for sure. You know, and sometimes it is called up.
So Patty's
wrong.
saying she thinks it's very important for the announcers to announce the race finishes quickly so that in Sarah's situation where
We went from getting, 5 points to 0 points, which was inappropriately called just because of it, like a misidentification of a team, for example.
yeah, misidentification of a team, her team could say, hey, wait a minute, that wasn't correct. And most likely the other team would have said, yeah, we totally lost that
People
race.
usually admit, yeah, I wasn't
Yeah.
on the team in third or fourth or
Yeah.
whatever, but
Yeah.
if they don't hear it announced that they were given fourth place instead of second.
Right.
Patty's
or
agreeing.
whatever, they don't know to bring it up, and usually then if they come back to the A-line judge and say that, they'll say, oh, yeah, right, you know what I mean? Like, I appreciate that when I'm on A-line. If we
And again, this goes back to what Julie was saying earlier about the scribe talking to her with points so that she can find out if something was overturned or changed after she got the original finish. So, and it is very important for the referees to know if maybe they need to change up a scribe or change up a line A with scribe or without scribe. And also for the organizers, you've got to train new people at some point, but like in Masters A, it'd be great if we didn't have Intermediate B making all the calls. I mean, they've got to learn, but
It's not the place. to
that's, when it's coming down to 1 or 2 points for a finish, it's really good to have people that know what they're doing up there.
And I also learned that, like, if I was judging C-line and the other judge called something, and when the ref went over to talk to him, I learned to get up and go over there and listen, because sometimes what they're seeing is totally different than what I saw.
Right.
So in case you can't hear Sissy, she's saying that as a assistant referee, she learned that if the person on the other C line called something, that her on the other opposite C line would then go and refer as well, so that they could all discuss, which is a really excellent point. As an assistant referee, it is your job to report what you saw unbiased and that you're 100% sure of what you saw, and to bring that in when any other assistant referee goes in and says, hey, especially if it's at the other end of the arena, I saw this. And as a referee, you want to call in your assistant referees and say, hey, Sarah, did you see that on the A line? Sissy saw it on the B line, and clarify. So teams are out there trying really hard. They want fair scoring.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, there used to be, I think, kind of an informal policy, getting back to A-line, that, like, okay, if there's 5 to 7 lanes, that you definitely would consult with the
Yeah.
person on the other side of the A-line
Yeah.
before making a call,
Or finish sometimes.
And then you used to be kind of like, okay, at least in Pony Club, I would call these 3 and you would call these 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then talk about it.
yeah, when I work line A, I like to talk to the other one, especially if it was a close, even if I'm sure. Well, like Sissy mentioned, there's a hump in along the A line at the Grange, and so it's easy to call them a little differently. So what I think Patty was saying is that the 2 A lines can meet to make sure that they have their calls accurate. If if it's a close, I mean, if it's ponies and ponies lengths apart, it's fine. But
How we have a meeting with the teams, the ref maybe should also meet with.
Yeah.
Yes.
the-
as a ref, I have tried that, and it's very hard
It's very
when
hard 'cause
Yeah.
they're
your
always-
assistant referees come in and just grab vests and go to their
Yeah,
corners.
yeah.
It makes it very hard, especially when you're pushing time.
Yeah, I think Ed's done a really good job of that all last year. He always made sure to confer with his assistants,
Okay.
before the start. So
Okay.
it's just getting into the habit of
And
it.
we're going to get a little more into this when we go over duties of different
Yep.
officials. So if we can move on with the races a little bit. Oh, go ahead.
I do think your example was very appropriate about what you did in that situation, because I do think, again, in the interest of good sportsmanship, we all have to accept that sometimes the wrong call is made, it's made in good
Thank
faith,
you. Okay.
And in the interest of good sportsmanship, like, again, and now, just keep saying, in any sport, the referee, the umpire, whatever, has the final call, and you just have to move on.
So
there are
Patty's
times
saying
when
that
it's
she
gonna
thought
happen.
my example where my team was called for a line A violation, and then later on I went back and said, hey, we looked at the video, that didn't happen, totally respect your call, but just wanted to let you know, since you're working with young riders here that are learning, was a good example of how to handle that. Okay, so let's move on to races, and we're gonna get more into the duties of different positions later. So races, I did not put this one on the sheet, so I forgot it. In Founders Race fillers, the letters are now lined up in order. If you look in the IMGA rulebook, it specifies that it is not a change in the race. It is just a simple change in setup. The letters are laid out in order. It's a safety thing, so.
And they should be touching.
And they should be touching. So if Mitchell goes down, she knows she's picking up this letter. She doesn't have to pause and look for the correct letter. Meanwhile, her pony gets a stride ahead of her and is facing the wrong direction and runs into another lane. So slight change in setup. The letters go in order in Founders Race.
And I want to say, just to clarify, because this confused me the first time I did it that way, it's facing, as you lay them out, you're facing the C line. So you should be able to read them.
So you're picking from the left.
You're picking from the right. I'm like,
Oh, sorry, you're right, you're right.
riding up, I've got my
So it
pony, I'm
faces your
picking from
Mitchell is
the right.
demonstrating.
Yeah, so when you're the volunteer, face the end of the arena, face this, the far end, put them so that you can read them left to right, so the rider picks them right to left.
So as the setting up person, your butt is facing the C line, and you're facing, am I correct here?
No, I think it's the other
It
way.
is extremely right.
Mitchell, is the person setting it up, is their butt to the C line?
No, their butt is to the A line.
Okay, so you're facing the A line, you set them up, and Patrick minus the
You're
camera.
not facing.
No.
Am I backwards
Yeah,
again?
your butt's
your
to
butt's
the
to
A
the C
line. Your butt's to the A line. You're looking.
You're
at
looking down the field.
at the C line.
As though you're at the start. So if you're standing at the start line, you can read it.
Yes.
Okay, so
Correct.
yeah, you would have your butt to the C line, because they're past the C
You said
line.
A-line.
I said A line. Okay,
No,
so
you
you're
have-
standing at the A line and you can read them.
There it is.
Yes.
Hey, could we turn that real fast and just, Christy's at home watching the bed, and she just wanted everybody
Hello,
to wave and say,
Christy.
hi, Christy.
Okay, so 29. Are we good with Founders? Everybody got it? Everybody got it? Got it. Okay, so Founders. Blah, blah, blah. We've kept all the MGAA races. I think the only one we got rid of was Daily Mail. We did get rid of a few more, like tent pegging, but the Midwest said they still play tent pegging and
Get rid of the
like
turkey-
the turkey race or something. So we put those back in.
Because they don't like to stand.
Sorry?
Like one like Apple or something.
Yeah.
I think we took that one
Yeah,
out too.
so like Krista's saying, there were a few races that we were gonna strike, but our Midwest counterparts still like to play them, so we left them in.
Yep. So we got rid of Apple Pie, Daily Mail, and I think that was it.
Kept
Anyway,
being very controversial.
You haven't played them in
margarita
years
race.
with ever, so
It's meant to be fun.
you won't notice they're gone.
Yeah.
We also kept, there's a few races that IMGA plays that we play as team pair or individual that's not listed in the IMGA rulebook. Thank you, Anita, for catching that. And we have put them in our rulebook addendum in those formats. So for example, if you're looking at the page with the list of races, at the bottom, there's 3 races listed that are in the IMGA rulebook. The first one's run and ride. It's listed. It's got a little asterisk next to run and ride under team, pair and individual. We're looking at page, I think, 11 in the addendum. Sorry, guys. 11 in the addendum. 10? Sorry, my page numbers are wrong because I printed it and then realized they were wrong and fixed it before it got sent out.
I have 10.
No, but you want, so do you have
It's
the
10 or
first-
11.
You have the first, that's the first revision.
You want revision under the 2016,
You wanted
it
to
says
say yes.
revision 2006.3.
Well, there are 2 of them.
No, you might have
There it
printed
is.
it out before.
Yeah.
2016.
Oh,
Shoot, okay,
You
we'll have
could
to
have
get
grabbed
that
the wrong
fixed.
one if you pulled it out from mail.
No, she said she got it on the website. So
Yours
I'll
is
have
right
to
here.
ask Adam to update to the
Yeah.
newest
So if you're
version.
printing out the addendum and you haven't done it yet, print the one from the Facebook page.
Yeah, my daughter, I have my daughter.
Mitchell's texting Adam, that we have the wrong one up on the website right now. Sorry, guys. It's just tiny minor little edits from that one though, Joy. Like the page numbers are wrong. So, we are looking at page 10 or 11 or 9, but it's the list of races. So at the bottom, what I'm talking about right now, run and ride, we listed as a team race because IMGA only listed as pairs and individuals, and we also played as team. So in our addendum, it's only listed as a team race. Three-pot flag, they only listed as an individual race. We have listed it as a team and a pair race since we also play it that way. And Windsor Castle, they listed as a team race. We added it as a pairs race. Individual will be called Moat and Castle, which is in the IMGA rulebook, and that's not noted right here. So the top of the page.
Wait.
Are those all the games?
Moat Castle, versus Windsor
Windsor
Castle.
Castle.
So to me, because we've played Windsor Castle individually, and then Moat Castle is a totally different race.
Yeah, I thought we got rid of Windsor as an individual race because it was similar to Moat.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's essentially the same race. It's just played slightly
So-
different with the kind of blend. Yes.
Because it's in the IMG.
Yeah. Yeah, all the IMGA races are fair game. And then all the addendum races are fair game. Everybody good? Pretty good. Okay. So the races at the top are the races we have in our addendum: ball and bucket, pony club ball and cone, which the difference there, that's the race that we generally play, where you have riders at both A and C line, and you go to the first cone faster than a walk, and you put the ball down, and then you go to the second cone and you pick the ball up, and then you hand it off at the opposite end, and your teammates all do the same thing, going in one direction. That is a pony club race. So we've changed the name to Pony Club Ball and Cone. IMGA has a ball and cone that is played exactly like Bottle Shuttle, where the cones replace the barrels and the balls replace the bottles. So everybody starts behind the A line. It's much more fun than Pony Club Ball and Cone. It's kind of got like a smooth feel to it. So you're either placing the ball in the middle and picking it up at the end and then returning home, or you're picking the ball up in the middle, or putting the ball down at the end and picking up on the middle on your way home, just like in Bottle Shuttle. So now we have the option of Pony Club Ball and Cone and regular IMGA Ball and Cone. Everybody got that? Any questions? No. Okay, so then we have Canadian, Foursquare, Keyhole. Hold on. Is it about ball and cone?
Yes.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
In IMGA, they cut the tops of the cones off for like the balls. Yeah. Are we good?
It's up to our organizers to modify equipment. So Aiden asked if, like in IMGA, we're going to cut the top of our cones so the ball kind of sits in there. That's up to our organizers. Under equipment in the addendum somewhere, it says something like equipment may be modified or something. I'll get to that part later. So that's up to our organizers and their equipment.
I can tell you I'm not, because.
So Sharon has said she is not cutting her cones.
Cones that really have a nice top, so it's not gonna cut off.
Yeah, these are, well, you've got the nice cones, there are some cones.
Oh, I
that
know,
have
the
nice
rubbery
ones
stuff
that
that they
they
just
don't-
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be true.
They're discussing
To me,
cone
that's-
sitting, ball sitting,
That's why
Or
we
lock
bought those
those
cones.
with the like Lego top.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sharon said she is not cutting her cones because she got the ones with the Lego top, and they sit the ball nicely. Okay, so moving on. Margarita race, which is a fossils only race, generally not scored. Generally not scored in case you didn't hear that. Needle and thread, 9 ring, quoits, ring race, ring the cone, rubber ducky, tack shop, tent pegging, turkey race, 3-legged sack, and Twitter. I think tent pegging and turkey race were the two that the Midwest plays that we haven't been playing on the East Coast. So let's get into the actual changes in the races. Run and ride. The 5th pole stays in line just like a 5th pole, and you still run around it. The only difference is we're not moving it to the middle of the arena. It's
Saves time.
saves time, and it's not really a change.
And just to clarify, to be sure, the other 4 poles are not part of the race still, right?
Yes.
So it doesn't matter if. because you're
Claudia's
now-
clarifying that the other 4
Because now
poles
you're
are not
close
part of
to
the
them.
race.
Yeah.
And your horse flings into it, it's okay, they can stay down.
Yes.
Okay.
Just not the 5th pole.
So if you knock
Just not
those
the
poles
5th
over,
pole,
you're good.
correct.
just not the fifth poll.
Adam
Um,
says that the latest version is up, but your computer might have cached the old version. So he says hold shift and reload to the rulebooks page. So I don't know, Juju.
Do what? Shift?
Control
like
shift,
refresh
it
maybe?
refreshes
Yeah,
it.
refresh it.
Refresh your page on the
Or-
website if you're printing the
That's weird.
addendum.
I'll put it through there.
Let's see, then we talk about ball and cone. IMJ added a race this year, bottle exchange. In case you're familiar with the old rules, our old races in IMGA, they've added a race this year, bottle exchange, which is kind of like bottle shuttle up and back. But you can read about it if you want, just like all the other races. Let's see, founders race. I guess I did add it in my copy. The letters are in order. Litter race, the difference in setup, it's not a race change. The litter are actually touching versus with the space between them. The only change there. Again, I mentioned that postman and helmet on for Pony Express and tack shop. Okay, and then here's one that Sharon brought up earlier. We listed alternative play for 3 races. This is in the addendum. After all the other races on its own page. 31. We listed alternative play for balloon, founders, and what was that? Joust. The balloon and the joust race were listed in a way for all riders to start behind the A line. This is intended for a shorter arena. We'll get to Sharon's question about if we'd prefer to play that way or not. And founders we listed in an alternative way that several fossils have requested, and I think some masters as well, actually, where the riders are only getting off one time instead of multiple times. Basically, in that race, the beginning of the race is set up so that each person's getting off once instead of twice. Any questions with the alternative plays?
Do we, or maybe we should write out procedures of when we would go to the alternative race?
I think it would be an organizer's discretion at this point, but
Sure.
I mean, Sharon, what would you prefer? Because you're the one with the short arena.
Yeah.
Well, so
Yeah, I
like,
mean, I'm asking.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'll take that into, and then we'll discuss.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know if we need to like lay it out at one point, saying these races are for if you have a short arena, just to clarify for everyone, like when you would go to alternative.
And then
play.
you must do it.
No, those are just 3
Yeah.
alternative plays.
So that'll be the question that'll come up.
Yeah, that
Why
is
are we
a good
doing it this way? Our team's much better doing it blah, blah, blah. Why do we, no, you know?
Yeah, like if that's a good point. We should say you must go to alternative play if you are playing at in this size arena. That's a really good point.
For a balloon, you can put it in the cone at the end. You
Yeah,
have
it's
the
like a
point
balloon
into
or sword you could do.
Say again.
cone.
Hold on.
Like when you put the balloon stick into the cone for the short arena play, you would have the point going
Down.
into the ground.
Yeah.
That would have to
Easy
be
way to
playable.
do it anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm just saying, like,
So Aiden's commenting on the balloon version alternative play. There's a cone at the end of the arena, so you pop a balloon and you put the stick in the cone. You put it point down.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Also, with the joust thing, would that mean like, because, I played it that way just at home with like a cone and, putting my joust thing in. Is there gonna be like, would we double up the cones? Is there gonna be like
I
something?
think it's a barrel.
Oh, okay.
Like a litter barrel.
We've played it with cones.
I don't know if
It had to be double coned, and we just did it.
I think we put it as barrel in here.
In a
because
tall cutoff.
yeah. 'cause-
IMGA or USMGA always double cones because they use the plastic
Yeah,
flags.
they do double cone everything.
I think we put down barrel.
Yeah, it says bins in ours.
I mean, yeah, it has to be.
So like it would be in like the litter bin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would kind of still fall over, but we'll have to see.
Well, and that's part of the
You're not
game.
gonna go flying past it to. probably-
So the question is in the alternative joust, if it would be a doubled cone or
So they're not staying upright.
a
Yeah.
bin. Our rule says a bin. And the question was, well, wouldn't it still fall over? Well, that's part of the play. You don't want it to fall over, so you've got to put it in gently enough not to fall over. Any other questions about alternative play?
Would you want to do the same thing for sword?
I've not seen that one alternatively played. We could. we didn't write a rule for that.
I'm just saying, you know, if you're concerned about the length of the
Yeah.
it's the same problem.
Sharon
for-
saying
Well,
for-
they're
we
saying
do the
with-
same for
What
sword.
they're saying with balloon and joust, you're going full out. With sword and mug shuffle, you're not necessarily going quite as fast.
You could.
But how do you play sword with an alternative play? You can't put
yeah,
the
you
sword
couldn't.
down.
You couldn't, could
Yeah.
you?
You would just lose everything.
Yeah.
That's what ring the cone is.
But if you,
The ring on the sword, and then you have to put it in,
Yeah.
and then you,
Never mind. Never mind.
Never mind.
I don't think, I think
yeah.
it's never seemed as a rider that, sword or mug shuffle are as problematic as joust.
Yeah.
I think in sword, you slow down more for your handoff, than you do in balloon or joust. Even as good as, like, even if you're, going flat out and you're very good at that handoff, those plastic rings for sure will fly. And mug shuffle, because you're not handing off, it's much easier to slow your pony and ride at the top of the ring. It's definitely joust and balloon, I would say, are the ones that feel
Those are
sketchy.
the only two I've seen played that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've seen them
But,
still
yeah, I
playing
didn't- I didn't do
sword
that.
and
No, yeah, that's a
mug shuffle in the
Yeah,
same arena at
sword,
the same time.
we just couldn't do it.
No.
Your
no,
ring
I
might fall off.
sorry
Yeah.
about that, yeah.
So are we good with alternative play? Any questions from the live feed? No.
So
Hannah, you're
then,
lacking
then
on questions.
my question is
Okay.
that would you rather play the alternative games or make the ring shorter like we did?
Let's see who's watching.
That's-
At MA1 and 6, which is at PG Equestrian Center, your opinion, would you rather play balloon and joust alternatively? Or would you rather play it traditionally?
Alternatively.
Sarah says alternatively.
I'd rather shorten the ring.
I'd rather shorten the ring because then you get your safety. That's why we did it.
Yeah.
No, I think the kids who want to play traditional, the intermediate kids, 'cause that's how they practice.
The intermediate kids would prefer to play traditionally. What are the intermediate kids watching? If you're watching, text me and tell me.
They're probably riding.
540-226-4902. Okay, so while we're waiting for people that are watching to text, because I'm sure everybody's watching.
But I think even when we shorten the ring, would we still maybe go to alternative play?
You still could.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do both.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like playing a new game.
Yeah.
It really is. I kind
We
of
could
like
add
it.
it as a new game.
Sharon, you could play it both ways.
Use those joust boards more than once.
So just touching on, I think Aiden and Bella, or Aiden or Bella, one of them or both of them asked about the cutting the cone top. If you look on page 31, it talks about equipment. These equipment guidelines and slight variations are acceptable as long as the lanes at a competition have identical equipment. So basically it's saying you don't have to meet these exactly, so it's really up to your organizer whether to have cut cones or not. So that's that. We have sorting, or do we want to take a little break before sorting? Oh, Dana says she would like to see that on, depends on division. Well, Dana, what division?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it would have to be the same all the way around. Because the arenas would be set up the same for intermediate masters, fossils, such and such.
Where are we in our day?
I mean, sometimes, like at PG, we have two rings for two different.
Yeah. We're gonna take a mini break because I'm hungry.
Yeah, okay, so we'll go to our lunch break a little bit earlier than we planned.
And we're gonna take a lunch
And
break and then we'll do heat sorting.
We're gonna stop the broadcast, but we'll be back.
Kristen Markman likes the alternative. Hold on. A lot. I like the alternative a lot, but ... Shouldn't the ring already be shortened for the other games in general? So does it matter that much then? You'd be playing an alternative game in an already shortened playing field. Markman. Okay, you can pause it now.
Okay,
Thanks, Kristen.
bye live stream.